When I was in college, my best friend, let's call him Jake, and I spent nearly every day together. We were also roommates, which made it even easier to get into trouble. Neither of us was stupid in the academic sense, but when it came to making impulsive, reckless decisions, we were practically professionals. If there was an abandoned place to explore, a fence to climb, or a risky stunt to pull off, we were there. One evening, we decided to do something that seemed tame compared to our usual antics. On the outskirts of our small town of Riverton stretched a dense expanse of forest. Most people stayed clear of the northern side. The area had been largely abandoned after a massive factory fire decades earlier. No marked trails, no signage, and very few people ever went there. Naturally, that's exactly where Jake and I wanted to go. We tacked flashlights, threw on our jackets, and made the walk from campus. It took about 30 minutes to reach the edge of town, and another 10 to pass through the charred, crumbling remains of the abandoned section. By the time we stepped under the trees, the glow from Riverton's streetlights had faded entirely. Only a thin wash of moonlight filtered through the canopy overhead. For the first 20 minutes or so, nothing happened. The initial thrill of sneaking into a pitch-black forest gave way to monotony. It was just trees, silence, and more trees. No signs of life, no old structures, no graffiti or relics of human activity. We started to think the trip was going to be a bust. That's when Jake spotted it, a beam of light ahead, cutting through the darkness. It wasn't a flickering campfire or lantern glow. It was a steady electric light, low to the ground. As we approached, we saw it clearly, a flashlight lying on the forest floor. No tent, no footprints, no signs of a camp. Just a lit flashlight sitting upright in the dirt. We both exchanged uneasy looks. Whoever left it there had to have done so recently. Flashlights don't run indefinitely, and this one was bright, like it had fresh batteries. The obvious conclusion was that someone dropped it while running, and for some reason hadn't come back. A cold feeling ran through me. We probably should have turned around then, but instead, the little adrenaline rush we'd been craving spiked. We left the flashlight where it was and pressed deeper into the woods, hoping to find some clue as to what happened. Not even 2 minutes later, we heard it, sticks snapping behind us like footsteps. We both whipped around, shining our beams into the trees, but nothing was there. The woods swallowed the sound whole. We tried to laugh it off and kept walking. 5 minutes passed. Another crack, this one louder, closer. Again, nothing. My pulse started to quicken. It was too deliberate a sound to be an animal. It happened several more times, and then finally, we both saw it. Just beyond the reach of our flashlights, something shifted, a figure darting behind a tree. A second later, a pale face peeked out, just for a heartbeat, before vanishing again. Jake didn't even have to say a word. We bolted. Branches whipped against our arms and faces as we sprinted back through the trees, our lights bouncing wildly. For 5 straight minutes, we didn't stop. By the time we finally slowed, gasping for breath, the town's faint glow was just visible through the trees. As we made our way out, we noticed something else. The flashlight we'd seen earlier, the one on the ground, was gone. Someone had picked it up. We didn't say much the rest of the walk back to campus. Neither of us could make sense of it. All we know is that a few days later, the town police circulated a notice about a missing person last seen heading toward that same stretch of woods. We'll never know if it was connected. But sometimes I wonder, if we'd kept walking, or hesitated even a little longer, would we have been the next missing persons?
A few years back, I moved from the West Coast to Maple Creek, nearly 1,000 miles inland. The route wasn't the usual interstate highways. These were winding back roads through empty country, flanked by dense forests and abandoned farmlands. At first, the drive felt scenic. By the fifth trip, it was just lonely. On my final run, I packed the last of my belongings into my old car. After a full day of driving, I stopped for a nap in a small town called Ashburn. Around 9 at night, I hit the road again, thinking I'd push a few more hours. An hour later, my dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. Warning lights, steering problems, the whole thing. Within minutes, I couldn't keep the car straight. I coasted onto the gravel shoulder, surrounded on both sides by endless trees. No service, no towns for at least an hour in either direction, just blacktop, shadows, and silence. I got out, popped the hood, and stared blankly. I knew nothing about cars. Nothing looked obviously wrong, but the vehicle was done for. Leaning against the door, I told myself someone would eventually pass. 15 minutes later, headlights appeared. A black sedan slowed and pulled up next to me. The driver, a man in his mid-30s, cigarette dangling from his mouth, peered at me for a moment before asking if I needed help. I explained the situation. He took a long pause, glancing repeatedly in his mirrors. Something about him felt off. He gave a little smirk and said, "Why don't you hop in? I'll give you a lift to the next town." Every instinct in me screamed no. Thanks, but my buddy's on his way. Should be here soon." I lied. The smirk vanished. Without another word, he pulled off and vanished down the road. No other cars came for an hour, just me and the trees. I was starting to drift off when another set of headlights appeared, this time coming from the direction I was headed. The car slowed and stopped. It looked familiar, but in the dim light, all sedans looked alike. This time, a woman was driving. Late 20s, maybe? She gave a nervous smile and asked if I needed help. I practically begged for a ride to the nearest gas station. She nodded and unlocked the door. From the moment I got in, the atmosphere felt strange. She didn't ask about my car. She didn't speak at all. Her knuckles were white on the steering wheel, eyes wide and fixed straight ahead. "Thank you for picking me up," I said, trying to break the silence. Nothing. Just the hum of the tires. 20 minutes passed. A sign appeared. "Gas station, 2 miles ahead." Relief washed over me. "You can drop me there," I told her. She only gave a small nod. I glanced at her. Her face was pale, eyes flicking nervously to the mirror. And then I caught it too. Movement in the rear view. I turned my head. My blood ran cold. A man sat hunched in the back seat. The same man from earlier. His eyes burned with fury. I snapped my head forward, heart pounding. We were almost at the gas station. "Pull in," I told her urgently. "Pull in now." She didn't slow down, and that's when it hit me. She wasn't part of this. She was another victim, forced to pick me up, forced to keep driving. The man barked at me to shut up and ordered her to keep going. But as we reached the turnoff, she suddenly wrenched the wheel and slammed on the brakes, skidding into the gas station lot. Before the car even stopped, she bolted. I followed, sprinting into the station as she screamed at the clerk to call the cops. Out the window, I saw the man scramble into the driver's seat and peel out into the night. Later, we pieced together the obvious. He'd been using her to lure me in. What he planned to do with both of us, I'll never know. But thanks to her courage, I don't have to. I worked nights at a tiny 24-hour diner off Highway 63, a lonely stretch between Pinewood and Edison. The place wasn't glamorous, just a neon sign, a few booths, and a long counter. Mostly truckers and road trippers stopped in for coffee. Quiet shifts, easy money. This night was no different. 2 or 3 customers drifted in and out before midnight. After that, nothing. I sat by the window, watching the highway disappear into darkness. Around 1 a.m., a semi pulled in. 2 men got out. One went to the restroom, while the other sat at the counter, looking tired. They ordered 2 black coffees to go. "Hey," the man at the counter asked suddenly, "you're not here alone, are you?" The question made me pause. Yeah, just me tonight." He frowned slightly. "Be careful. We saw some guy hanging around the side of the building as we drove in. Looked sketchy, but I thought maybe he worked here." My stomach tightened. "Thanks for letting me know." When they left, I checked the windows. Nothing. The parking lot was empty, the woods beyond silent. I told myself the trucker was mistaken. Half an hour later, I took a quick bathroom break. As I was scrolling my phone, I heard the front door open. "Welcome in," I called automatically, stepping out only to find the diner empty. The door wasn't flimsy. It couldn't have just swung open. I tried to shake it off, went back behind the counter, and washed dishes. That's when I heard it, movement from the back. Before I could react, a man walked out from the kitchen hallway. He was maybe 40, with messy gray hair and a scruffy beard, wearing a navy hoodie. He smiled faintly and sat at the bar. "I'll have a coffee, please," he said. My hands trembled as I brewed it. Something about him was deeply unsettling. When I handed him the mug, he grinned. "Just you here, huh? Must get lonely." "Sometimes," I lied. He kept chatting, asking when my shift ended, smiling in a way that didn't feel friendly. Eventually, he thanked me, stood, and walked off into the dark. No car, just the highway. I stayed glued to the window for 15 minutes, heart hammering. Was he the man the trucker had seen? If so, he'd been lurking outside for hours. Then I heard it again, a door opening, this time from the side access door near the dumpster. I peered into the hallway, dark. A closet door swung slightly, like someone had just passed through. I didn't wait to check. I ran out to my car, sped onto the highway, and called the police. When they arrived, they found him. He'd been hiding in the closet. Same man, same hoodie. But that wasn't all. They discovered rope on him. Out in the woods behind the diner, partially buried, was a stash of items no one should have. Turns out he'd been watching the diner, waiting for me to be alone, planning to drag me into the forest where his supplies were. He's in prison now. I'm lucky I'm not somewhere else entirely.